Greetings from the Wasteland and welcome to our weekly check of some of the new releases headed to an independent record store near you. Now again, this is just the highlights for this given week because there's way too many releases to cover all at once. If you'd like to see the full list, head over to our website at radiowastelandrecords.com. But in the meantime, here is what we've picked out to highlight for release the week of Friday, January 13th. Yes, it's a Friday the 13th, 2023. On the new release front, we've got something brand new from Margo Price. Our description says that in just 3 remarkable solo albums, Margo Price has cemented herself as a force in American music. So Strays by Margo Price comes in a couple of different variations, both a black vinyl version listing for about $25 and an indie exclusive purple smoke colored vinyl also listing for about $25. And just in case you're curious, there's also a cassette version of this out there, colored cassette case, pink, and that lists for about $13, but vinyl's where it's at, right? Something also brand new from the Goo Goo Dolls. This one is called Chaos in Bloom. Our description says that Chaos in Bloom marks the first album of the band's career to be produced by frontman John Resnick. This record finds the band at the top of their game and continuing to constantly evolve as they have for nearly 4 decades together. Brand new stuff by the Goo Goo Dolls listing for about $22. Something for you fans of Mongolian throat-singing heavy metal. This is another album, a new one by the group The Who. This is The Who, of course, HU. This one is called Rumble of Thunder. Following the success of The Garrig, which not only debuted at #1, but featured viral rock hits like Wolf Totem, The Who are back with a new album, again called Rumble of Thunder, showcased in 6 vinyl color variants globally. We only have 1 here in the US, but 6 overall. So this album connects the world to Mongolian culture and its unique core values of natural preservation and spiritual connection with the earth. Fun stuff if you've not heard of Wolf Totem or The Garrig before, check that one out. But the brand new one from The Who, Rumble of Thunder, indie exclusive blue vinyl, available here in the US, but 5 other variants, according to our description, out there worldwide. So that one will list for about $35. The 4th release in the series of Fish Live, called LP on LP. This is number 4, Ghost, and this was recorded on May 22nd of the year 2000. So these things come in as really an EP with 1 song per side, this one being no exception. So LP on LP4 from Fish, this one entitled Ghost of 2000, listing for about $23. This is on colored vinyl. And we do have 1 soundtrack to cover. This is music from the Bob's Burgers movie. I'm unfamiliar with the series. I know it exists, mind you. I've just never really paid attention to it or watched it. So more or less, I didn't know there was a movie out there for this either. But regardless, we do have a soundtrack. This movie came out in 2022, as did the soundtrack, but it looks like we're just getting around to a vinyl pressing. This one coming from Hollywood Records on yellow vinyl, and from what I can tell, doing a little bit of research on this because our description was rather sparse, this is a score, so it's not songs of, it's the score to the movie. So limited yellow vinyl, this is the soundtrack music from the Bob's Burger movie, listing for about $22. And as I kind of sort of predicted last week with the Rhino Start Your Ear Off Right campaign, there were some releases that were delayed, at least to us. I know some other stores got some. We didn't get all of them we asked for, but that's what happens when you try to put out too much stuff at once. So the first week of the Start Your Ear Off Right campaign, hopefully your store was able to get a hold of everything. We're waiting on the Velvet Underground and the Dire Straits one, so hopefully we'll get those in next week. But now we've got 2 more scheduled for the week of the 13th. First of which, from Rhino Start Your Ear Off Right, is a 50th anniversary remastering of Ace by Bob Weir. And again, Bob Weir of Grateful Dead fame. This one, according to our description, on clear red vinyl and will list for about $25. So again, that's Ace by Bob Weir from the Start Your Ear Off Right campaign from Rhino. And the other one scheduled for this week is a reissue of Chicago 9. I have to look at the Roman numerals here. The Greatest Hits is more commonly known. This one is a picture disc, according to our description, of the iconic Chicago cover from their Greatest Hits. This one also listing for about $25. And speaking of Chicago reissues, we're getting a Friday music version of Chicago 6. Now, for my money, I know I'm editorializing here a little bit. This is one of my favorite Chicago albums. The early stuff is cool. the jam bandy stuff, but as Chicago began to meld into this more of a, top 40 hit machine, this album, their sixth, was kind of on that edge. Still a great, great album and one of my favorites, but this is a Friday Music reissue coming on 2 variations. Looks like we're either getting a silver vinyl version or a turquoise version of this coming out on the 13th. Now, this album, again, was originally released in 1973 and was the band's second in a string of 5 consecutive albums to make it to #1 in the U.S. charts. Both of those colored vinyl variations, by the way, of Chicago 6, the turquoise or silver, will list at about $37. We now also have a limited gold vinyl edition of Boz Scaggs, self-titled Boz Scaggs. This one was originally released in 1969, and our description says it was a stylistically diverse album from Boz Scaggs that incorporated several genres, including Americana, blue-eyed soul, country, and rhythm and blues. This one also coming from Friday Music, and actually I should have mentioned there's a couple of different colored variations. The gold vinyl version as well as a clear blue vinyl version. Both of those listing for about $37. Here's a reissue from the semi-obscure prog rock band Gentle Giant. This is one of their later albums called Civilian. This particular repressing includes a bonus track, according to our description, and looks to be on black vinyl, and this will list for about $25. We're getting another reissue from the Rolling Stones as well for the 13th. This is More Hot Rocks, Big Hits and Phased Cookies, a double LP from Abco Records, listing very heavy at a list price of about $46. A more recent reissue coming up as well on the 13th, this one from Mumford & Sons and their album Babel, coming on colored vinyl. This is a 10th anniversary edition of the release of that album. It doesn't seem like it's quite that right, but here we are 10 years later. This one actually on cream colored vinyl, and it's a limited 180 gram pressing. List price on Mumford & Sons Babel reissue coming in at $28, or is that Babel? I may have said that wrong. I always have. Here's a big one from Music on Vinyl, and kind of following up on the reissue of Cherry Pie. We have another one from Warrant. This is Dirty, Rotten, Filthy, Stinking Rich. Limited 180 gram translucent green colored vinyl. And again, because it's Music on Vinyl, at least here at our store, we can kind of count on that being at least a week or so late. But when this goes, it goes. It's a tremendously limited edition. And just like Cherry Pie, I expect that to disappear fairly quickly when we are able to get a hold of it, that is. So Warrant's Dirty, Rotten, Filthy, Stinking Rich from Music on Vinyl on green vinyl listing at about $39. A 25th anniversary on Neapolitan ice cream colored vinyl from NoFX, So Long, and Thanks for All the Shoes. Some very cool punk from that band. And again, this is on a tricolored brown, white, and pink vinyl. Makes you long for Neapolitan ice cream? No, not really, because we'd all just eat the vanilla out of there. This one listing at about $27. Here's a pair of very cool college radio alternative albums coming from Love and Rockets. These were the first 2 after the band transitioned away from Bauhaus into Love and Rockets, a little bit less punky and goth-like, and dare I say a little bit more poppy, especially when you get to Express, but there's still some great music on each of these. The first, Love and Rockets' Seventh Dream of Teenage Heaven, and our description does go that direction. It calls it an unashamedly psychedelic adventure, far removed from the dark, angular landscapes that was Bauhaus, yet they had to avoid being branded as goth. So they cite Syd Barrett, Mark Bolan, and the later period of the Beatles as the primary influences for this first Love and Rockets LP. 35th anniversary edition of this from Seventh Dream of Teenage Heaven, listing for about $28. And then a personal favorite from Love and Rockets, originally from Beggar's Banquet and now Beggar's Banquet US, Express, originally released in 1986. Our description says that the original press release for this album said that it was a balance of light and dark, positive and negative, yin and yang as a recurring theme. In 2020, NPR referred to this album, stating that their psychedelic train ride laid the foundation for alt-rock. Okay, I'll buy that. There's some great stuff on here, including a cut called Kundalini Express and All in My Mind, and It Could Be Sunshine, all great tracks from Love and Rockets Express. This reissue coming in at a list price of about $29. And speaking of college radio, let's go a little bit on the punky side. Here's one from The Cramps. It's called Let's Get Effed Up, live at the Vidia Club on May 5th of 1998. This is audio from a television broadcast. This is perilously close to a bootleg, I'm guessing, but It's on our distributor site, so we're going to call this an official release. But our description is very sparse. It says it's a double vinyl LP pressing of a rare live recording from the Psycho Garage Rockers, The Cramps. So let's get effed up live at the Vadia Club on May 5th of 1998. TV broadcast, this one listing for about $30. Assuming it's on black vinyl because we don't have anything saying that it is anything else. So, and one more from Music on Vinyl, this one from the King himself. Elvis, as recorded at Madison Square Garden. This is a limited edition 180-gram white marble-colored vinyl release. Music on Vinyl, so you know it is going to sound absolutely fantastic. Our description says that this is a very limited edition of 2,500 individually numbered copies on that white marbled vinyl. So this one is, as we said, a double LP on white marbled colored vinyl from Music on Vinyl, listing a little heavy at $45. And that is a quick check of some of the new releases headed your way for Friday the 13th. That is Friday, January 13th, 2023. If you're local here to our Midland, Michigan area store, please contact us and we can place any pre-orders that you'd like very easily to pick up in the store. Or otherwise, please feel free to visit our website at radiowastelandrecords.com and you can look through the list there and place the orders if you like. So until next week, we thank you very much for watching. Have a good one from all of us here at Radio Wasteland Records.